Good morning, family. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you all? Good morning, everybody. Oh, I am coming to you guys. As you know, this is not our normal setup, and that's because I'm out of town. But just because we're out of town, hey, cousin, just because we're out of town don't mean we're off assignment, right? So I wanted to come in and talk quickly. It'll be brief. Good morning. It'll be brief, but I wanted to come and talk about Sarah, but not just about Sarah. Good morning, T. How are you? I don't just want to talk about Sarah. I want to talk also about how we deal with outside children. So we're going to get to that too. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I am in Bay City, the beautiful Bay City, this weekend. And but I still wanted to come and be consistent and bring you what I said I would bring you. I try to do this each Sunday. So if you would just share out, I would appreciate it. And let's talk about Sarah, okay? Let's talk about what we know about Sarah, the discontentment and disbelief of Sarah. And thank you for sharing out. I just wanted to get my Instagram folk up in here, and we go from there. Good morning, son. How are you? Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, so let me get my Instagram feed going, and then we can pop off from there. I wish y'all could see my setup. This is crazy. This setup is nuts, but okay, we gonna roll with it. All right, so I am on two platforms. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook Live. So if you see me looking up, that's why. So I want to talk to you this morning about the discontentment and disbelief of Sarah, right? And so Sarah was the one who became the mother of many nations. And even if you don't believe in the Bible, you can get something from this, trust me, because we're talking about outside children, children to the marriage that are outside or the relationship, whatever you prefer. So here's what I want to start with. This is found in Genesis 12. Okay. And I want us to keep in mind that in Genesis 12, God told Abraham, or Abram at that time, his name was Abram, to get up and leave his country and leave everything he knew. So he told him, look, get up and go to a place where I'll show you. Didn't tell him where, just told him to get up and go. Okay. And so that meant that he had to have this ultimate trust in God, because he said, get up and go to a place where I'll send you. I ain't gonna tell you where, just get up and go. So Sarai at the time got up and followed her husband, as we should. Okay, we should follow the God in him. Absolutely. So keep in mind that this is the woman who followed her husband to an unknown place. This is very important that we keep in mind that she followed her husband to an unknown place based on what God had told him. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, another thing that we need to focus on is the fact that they ended up going to Egypt. Now, Sarah was very beautiful. And I'm talking about beauty to the point where he thought men were going to want her. So when they got to Egypt, he told her, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to tell them that you my sister, because I don't want them to kill me, because they're going to kill me and take you if I say that you're my wife. And she says, okay. She says, okay, cool. Well, what happens? Exactly what he said. Okay, exactly what he said. Pharaoh was a king, and guess what he said when he found out Sarah was beautiful and was on his territory? Go get her for me, because I want the best. Go get her for me, because I want the best. And so what ends up happening, and let me say this, the first point is, just because men are not as emotional as women does not mean that they do not act out of emotion. Okay, let's start there. My sinuses are terrible, but let's start there. Just because men are not as emotional as women, it does not mean that they don't act out of emotion like women. Sometimes they do. Okay, sometimes they do. It looks like my eye black, don't it? It's not. But anyway, sometimes they do. All right. And so we have to remember that just because they're not emotional like us all the time does not mean that they don't act out of emotion, because anger is an emotion, fear is an emotion. So just because they do not act out of emotion all the time does not mean that they don't make emotional decisions. I just had a lightweight debate with a guy this morning, and he was going, and I just was like, hey, I ain't finna do all that. I'm not finna do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do all that. And those with power, I just said those with power do not argue, and I believe that. Those with power do not argue. What am I arguing with you for? I don't even know you. You know what I'm saying? But men are emotional too. Anger is an emotion. So don't think that just because they're a man, good morning, Washia, good morning, Elaine, good morning, everybody. Just because a man is not as emotional as a woman consistently does not mean that they don't make emotional decisions, because jails are filled, graveyards are filled with men who have consistently or who have made decisions based on their anger. And anger is an emotion. Okay, so Abram was afraid. He was afraid that they were going to kill him if they found out that that was his wife, and he was right, because they came and got her. And God sent plagues upon Pharaoh. And when Pharaoh found out that the plagues were because he had Sarah, he called Abram. Excuse me, I need to see you. Why you didn't tell me this was your wife? Why didn't you tell me that this was your wife? Right? And so Pharaoh told them to get on. Go on. Go on. Don't be over here. Now, let me tell you this. Abram was thinking about himself, and he had not thought about the fact that God had told him to go. So if God tell you to go somewhere, if he tells us to do something, then there's no way that he's not going to protect, provide, and as long as we remain in his will. As long as we remain on task, he is going to protect, provide, and equip. But for some reason, we get halfway through the journey and forget that. We forget that God sent us. We forget why we're going. We forget it, right? So anyway, let's keep going. The second point is I want to talk about what we speak, because Sarah was barren, so she didn't have any children. So as beautiful as she was, she didn't have any children, right? And so instead of him speaking what would have happened, why didn't he use that same power to speak to her womb? Why did he use that same power to speak to their situation? How many of us are guilty of that? We'll speak all the things that we don't want, but we'll never speak life over the things that we do want. Anybody guilty of that? We'll complain about what we don't like. I can't stand this job, but we'll never speak and say, Lord, I thank you for blessing me with a new job. I thank you for blessing me in your time with this. Well, I thank you for blessing me with that. We don't ever do that. We never, ever stop and say, Lord, I thank you for what, we don't do that. We just complain about what we don't want. And what ends up happening when we complain is that we bring that thing closer to us. And so when he said, they're going to kill me, if they're going to kill me because you beautiful, he was right. And he spoke life to that. And that's exactly what happened. They didn't kill him because he lied, but they did send for her. He could have used that same power in his words to speak to her womb, to speak to their situation of not having children, and saved a lot of issues, as we'll come to see. So anyway, so just know that life and death are in the power of your tongue. And at the end of the day, you're going to eat the fruit of it, whether it's good or bad. Life and death are in the power of your tongue, and it does not matter, good or bad, you're going to eat the fruit of whatever it is that you're saying. So if you always talking, complaining, always talking about people, always sneak dissing, always or whatever, then you're going to eat the rotten fruit of that. But if you're lifting people up, and if you're loving on people, and if you're speaking life to your situation, then you're going to eat that fruit. So whatever the case is, whatever kind of fruit you eat is all because of your choice. Okay? So Pharaoh sent them away from Egypt. Y'all got to go. Y'all got to go, because I'm not going to have y'all plaguing me. You got to go. So they left, okay? Now, here's the third point. You might be saying, well, if they lied, then why did God rescue them? Because Pharaoh could have killed them right there. So you might be saying, well, why did God rescue them? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something that I can tell you about my life. Sometimes we'll think God is rescuing us, and don't get me wrong, he is merciful, he is graceful. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes God is preserving his plan. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Sometimes it's his plan that he's preserving. Sometimes it is God's plan. He never, look, she don't know. Sometimes it is God's plan that he is preserving. It is not us. It is his plan. It is his plan that he's preserving. And we have to understand that we are part of a bigger plan. Good morning, Cousin Rosalind. Good morning, Robin. Good morning, everybody. We have to understand that we are part of a bigger plan. So your life is not your own to just make all these frivolous decisions. Mama got to have a life too. Yeah, but mama's life is not her own. Okay, mama's life is not her own. So God is not necessarily, if you see a person getting chance after chance after chance, sometimes, yes, he's being merciful, but sometimes he is saving his plan. His plan, okay? So let's talk about Sarah here. She had it all. It talked about how she was beautiful. And I'm not talking about regular beauty. I'm talking about beauty beyond 60, beyond 70, beyond. She was 90, 80, 90 years old, still stunning. Okay, still stunning enough still stunning enough for her husband to think that somebody would kill him for her. Okay? Still stunning, still gorgeous, still beautiful, even in her older age. Because we know back then they were living much longer, but even in her older age, even at 90, she was still stunning and gorgeous. And so she had it all. She had this husband, she had this beauty, she had, this position because, Abram was wealthy. She had all of this stuff, and she was still not happy because she could not have children. couldn't have children. The Bible says she was unusually beautiful in Genesis 12. But God gave her a promise. Can we stop right there? God gave her a promise. He gave her a promise. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, everybody. God gave her a promise. He said that he would give her a child. He gave the promise through her husband. He said, I'm going to give you guys a child. And they were like, do we know how old we are? How many of you asked God stuff that he already know the answer to? God, do you know where I'm at? I remember one time God told me to do something, and I was like, you know I'm in Detroit, right? And I'm thinking, of course he knows I'm in Detroit. He knew exactly where I was. He made me. He created me. He knew me before I was in my mother's womb. But sometimes we try to tell God stuff like, do you know how old I am? It may be somebody watching today that you're not married and you're 40. And you're saying, God, do you know I can't have children? You may not have children and you're 40. And you may be saying, Lord, if you don't hurry up, listen, he got time in his hands. He has time in his hands. He owns time. We manage it. He offers time to us and we manage it, but we don't own time. He does. The promise is never late. Just know that. The promise is never late. Never. And that's something we have to learn to remember. The promise is never late. That's number one. That's number one. The promise is never late. So, Abram thought, okay, well, maybe my servant is going to be my heir. And God, like, no, you're going to have a child. You're going to have a child. See, when God speaks something to us, we try to reduce it down to our understanding. So when God told Abram he was going to have a seed, he thought, oh, well, it's going to be my heir. It's going to be my servant. He said, no, I said, you're going to have a child, because he didn't believe. So we reduced it to our mind. Oh, no, he didn't talk about me at 80 years old. Oh, no, of course not. And so Sarah wasn't able to have children, so he's trying to figure out how this is going to be done, because there's so many dynamics here. He old, his wife can't have kids, and he like, so how you going to work this out? And because of our mind, see, our thoughts are not his thoughts, and our ways are not his ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts, and his ways are not our ways. And so we'll be trying to figure out how he's going to do what he's going to do, and we will mess ourselves up like they did. So what ends up happening is God gave them this promises, gave them the promises, and then they start trying to figure it out. And bing, oh, this is how he's going to do it. And so they manufactured the promise. Sarah came to her husband and said, we're going to just have you have sex with our handmaiden, which was kind of a common thing back then. But remember, they weren't common people. They weren't common people. They were chosen of God. God told them, remember what I told you at the beginning of the lesson, God told them, get up and go away to a place where I send thee. Get up and leave your family. Get up and leave everything that you know and go to a place that I send you. They were chosen people. They weren't common. See, when you're chosen, you can't act common. When you're chosen, you can't act common. When you're chosen, you can't do everything everybody else does. When you're chosen, you can't. When you have a call on your life and an anointing is there, you can't do everything that everybody else does. You just can't. You just can't. And so they started acting like common people and told him, listen, go on into the handmaiden Hagar. Go on into Hagar and get her pregnant, and then Hagar will have to give the child to Sarah. Manufactured the promise. Can we just stop there? Can we just stop there? Why do we manufacture the promise? Why do we think God needs our help? Don't get me wrong. Faith without works is so dead. It is. However, God don't need our help with the timing, with how it's done. He don't need that from us. But we'll convince ourselves, if we're not careful, that, I'm supposed to be helping him in this way. So you tell your husband to go into another woman and have a child. And he did it, even though he knew God had told him, you're going to have a child of your own. And he figured maybe this is the way. Again, trying to figure out what God was doing. And immediately, let me tell you something, immediately, it causes dissension. The Bible says the blessings of the Lord maketh rich and addeth no sorrow to it. Do you hear me? That does not mean that you won't, you won't have a thought here or there, but the blessings of the Lord maketh rich and addeth no sorrow. That means that there's no way that if this child was supposed to be of God, then there should have been dissension. There was immediate dissension when she got pregnant, not even when she had the baby, when she got pregnant. Immediate dissension. Immediate dissension. Why? Because they manufactured the promise. They manufactured the promise. So what ends up happening? Well, as soon as Hagar got pregnant, Hagar was pissed off. You know, you just using me, and now I got to give up my baby to you, and all of this and all of that. She got this going on. Sarah's now offended, and Abram stuck in the middle. What happens? Oh, Hagar probably done caught feelings. She probably done caught feelings, laying with this man. Now he caught between these. What am I supposed to do? She got my baby, and this is my wife. And he's stuck in the middle of a place where he was never designed to be. Oh, okay then. So the next thing you know, it's an issue now. It's an issue now between the two women in this house, and this man is there. So then Ishmael is born. Now he has a son. Ishmael is born. Good morning, Cammie. Ishmael is born. Now, can we stop right here, ladies? Because this is really where I wanted to get to. This is my 5th point. My 4th point was never manufacture the promise. My 5th point is, ladies, if you get with a man and he has a baby on you, or even if you get with a man who has children, the children are typically innocent. Let me tell you what I mean, because I know that there are some boogers. Okay, let me say this to my Instagram audience. If you have, ladies, if you get with a man and he has children, the children are typically innocent. Okay, they're typically innocent. The children are typically innocent if your man has a baby on you, or if your man had children when you met him. Now, can we stop right there? Because unfortunately, that's where a lot of women lose their integrity. Now, I will never forget a young lady was going to marry a guy, and they called off the wedding because he had a baby on her. And I will never forget her saying to me that she could not accept that child, so she could not or would not accept him. I felt like, you know what? I give you 100% applause, because it saddens my heart to see so many children mistreated by stepmothers, because the stepmother is insecure. That's a problem. That's a problem. If he had the baby on you, I know it's painful, but time will heal the pain if he stops scratching off the scars. See, oftentimes when a man has a baby on you, you could accept that, but the issue is he keep on adding stuff and keep on doing stuff and keep on doing stuff. But my issue is time will heal that wound. Time will heal if he stops snatching the scar off. But the children are innocent, even if the children are being pumped up by the mother. I'm gonna just be honest. Even if the children are being pumped up by the mother, even if the children are being fed fed by their mother's talking bad in front of them or whatever, the children are still innocent because they have no idea that they're being manipulated. And I know as a woman, it is hard to deal with. It's a hard situation to be in the midst of, but if you have chosen to be in the midst of it, you got to carry it out. And you got to carry it out with the same grace and the same queendom that you out here shouting that you have. Okay, look, if you can't handle it as a grown woman, it's maybe time to move on. If you can't handle it like a grown woman, it may just be time to move on. Do not use your influence to cause a wedge between a man and his children. Do not use your influence to cause a wedge between a man and his children. That is the worst thing that you can do as a woman. And can we address another area? You are comfortable with men not taking care of their children. We have got to stop that. If a man does not take care of his seed, and I'm not talking about the bitter betties that's out here running y'all down to the front of the court. I'm not talking about that. But what I'm saying is, if a man does not take care of his children, God says he's worse than an unbeliever to him. God says you are worse than an unbeliever if you do not take care of your children. So how can you lay with a man that will not take care of his child? And then sit up and pump him up and say he is great. Oh, this my bae. My bae loved me and all that. But what about his children? What about the life he had before? But see, can I just bring it on down to being real? Some women are happy. I don't want to even call them women. Some females are happy when a man is not taking care of his child because they're too worried about him going over yonder to see in the mama. Let's just go and be honest. Some women are so happy, they happy he's decided not to take care of that child because they really don't want him over there seeing the mama. And that's your own insecurity, period. That's your own insecurity. And you got to cut it out. There's no way you should be laying with a man that does not take care of his children, because guess what? Yours will be next. Yours will be next. This woman, Sarah, decided to help God and manufacture her own promise. And what did that mean? That means she decided, oh, well, I'm gonna give you the handmaiden. You have a baby with her, and then we'll call that our child. And when that didn't work, when that caused dissension, then all of a sudden there was conflict between Abram and now his child Ishmael. No, ladies, we have got to stop it. We will pay for that. You will pay, as a woman, you will pay for the way that you use your influence. You will pay for the way that you use your influence over a man. We, let's be honest, have been the weakness of men since the beginning of time, but you will pay for the way that you use your influence over a man. If you choose to manipulate instead of influencing him to do right, you have to pay for that. You have to pay for it. And so I just want you to know that if your man has a baby on you, or if he gets pregnant, if he gets somebody pregnant, it is not the baby's fault. And listen, I've been in this situation. That's why I can tell you, I know it hurts. I know seeing that baby is a manifestation of your pain. I understand. I understand. But yet I have gone in the kitchen and cried. Do you hear me? I went in the kitchen and cried. When my ex had a baby on me and the baby came around, I went in the kitchen and cried, but I never took it out on that child. Why? Because it was not that baby's fault. And if I chose to stay, then guess what? I needed to deal with it as a grown woman. If you want to be around here calling yourself a queen, if you want to be around here saying you grown, then be grown. But stop taking it out on the children. If you got a problem with him going to pick up the kids and you don't trust him, that's another conversation we need to have. Because if he can't go get his kids without going to get her, you got bigger problems. Okay? If the man can't go and get his kids without going to get her, you got a bigger problem. But if you feel like that, then just go and ride with him. But by golly, we're going to get your kids. We're going to spend time with your children. We're going to love on your children, because you won't be laying with me and God thinks you worse than an infidel. See, that's why some of our relationships can't be blessed, because God is looking at him saying he don't take care of his kids. So why you think I'm getting ready to bless your union? Hello? I'm not getting ready to bless your union because I look at him as worse than the infidel, because he didn't forget about the 3 kids he left behind. Hello? But you're looking for your union to be blessed. It's not going to be blessed. It's not. Not as long as he got 3 children somewhere else starving. 3 children somewhere else with a woman that's working her fingers to the bone to take care of him, and he acting like he out here living his best life. I don't think so. Your union will not be blessed. It won't. Get that right. Ladies, no, we don't hold you accountable if you don't go see his children, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing with your influence. You know what you're doing, but you're not accountable. He is. But ultimately, you still are influencing the situation. And I just wanted to stop there and just let us know we have to stop entertaining men that don't care for their kids, because you do not want God's hand to be taken off of your situation simply because he won't do what he's supposed to do. I'm not trying to be cursed by proxy. Forget that. I don't have to be, no, don't need it. Okay, I've not been with a man yet, and he ain't taking care of his kids. You're going to take care of your kids while you with me, because I'm a woman, and I don't play that. And if that means I got to go get the child, now I'll go get him. But you're not going to be with me, and you're not taking care of your kids. So we got to cut that out. So God promised Abram a son again, even after he had Ishmael. So he's like, wait a minute, I thought that was the son. No, it wasn't. God didn't tell you to go manufacture no promise, but he still said, I'm going to keep my promise. See, God will still keep his word. Gifts and callings are without repentance. When God sends his word out, it will not return unto him void. God ain't the liar, we are. God is not the liar, we the liars. We the ones. But God ain't the liar. He said, I know what I was telling you. I knew what I promised you. I meant it, and I'm going to do it. Even though you got out of character, I'm still going to do it, because I am God. I am merciful. I am graceful. I'm still going to do it. And he did bless them with a child, Isaac. He did. But guess what? Even after they had manufactured their own promise, when God still was saying, I'm still going to bless you, they still laughed at him. They still laughed at him. And guess what? This was the same God who had told them to get up and go to a place that I will show you. So he told you, get up and go somewhere I ain't even told you where to go. And you packed up and left, but you don't trust him to give you the child because you're 86, because you're 90. He know how old you are. God knew how old you were. I remember a man saying that you couldn't be a millionaire after 40. And I said, y'all, you won't speak that over me. You can't be a millionaire after 40. Don't speak that over me, because I serve a God who has all time in his hands. So there's no way you can tell me that I can't be a millionaire after 40, because that's your conclusion. See, stop letting people speak their truth over you if it don't match what God done told you. That's your truth, bruh. If you can't be a millionaire after 40, shame on you, or bless you, or whatever. But don't tell me what I can do. Okay? And so they laughed at God. Even after they'd gone and manufactured their own promise, even after God had told them, get up and go to a place where I show you. And God has kept them blessed even in the midst of, even after God had taken them out of Egypt without being killed. He could have killed them. They still laughed at God when he gave them the promise. And some of us laugh at God too, because we can't believe that he would give that promise to us. It's not that we don't believe in God. We just don't believe that we are worthy sometimes. God, you love me that much to let me hold your word? I am in Bay City, y'all. I'm in Bay City, Michigan. I brought my laptop. I'm in a hotel room. I got to check out in about 20 minutes. But guess what? Just because I'm out of town does not mean I'm off assignment. We go out of town and lose our whole mind. No, I'm out of town. I'm not off assignment. I don't get to do what I want to do. I still have an assignment. And I can't dictate. Somebody might need this word. I can't say that somebody don't need this word. So all I'm saying to you, thank you for sharing, Mary. Thank you, Elaine, for sharing. All I'm telling you is, listen, the promise is never late. God knows what he told you. He know how old you are. He know how young you are. He ain't impressed or moved by none of that. He knew what he said when he was saying it. As the memes say, I said what I said. And that's how God feels. I said what I said. Stop laughing at him. Stop laughing at God when he tell you what he tell you. But praise him and worship him instead, because Lord, you believe in me. You trust me to bring your word to people. You love on me. I got a prophecy yesterday that almost reduced me to tears. Why? Because you love me that way after all I've done. You trust me with your word after all I've done. See, God sees what everybody does when nobody else sees it. And even though I ain't just went around here killing, shooting, and all that, sin is sin, and it all stinks in the nostril of God. So whether I spoke a word that I shouldn't have spoke or I shot somebody, it's sin. And so I'm like, Lord, you've been with me over every idle word I said and over everything I've done, and you still love me? That almost reduced me to tears when he gave me his prophecy. When he told me what he was going to do in my life and do for me and do through me. Don't laugh at the promise, but rejoice that he loves on you that way. Rejoice that he still is there with you. Rejoice that when everybody else left, he still said, I am God. I am Alpha and Omega. I am the beginning and the end. I have not left you. I will keep my promise. I'm not a man that I should lie. Rejoice in that. But don't laugh at him and say, not me. So I'm going to talk real quick because I got about 15 minutes before I got to check out of this here room, and I got a few things I got to pack up. So, and that's, excuse my lighting. That's why my lighting looks this way, because I'm not at home. But so they laughed. And let me just tell you something. Sometimes our promises may be far-fetched, but they're not as far-fetched as you think. But God, because God is not bound by what usually happens. Can we just go there? God is not bound by the usual. You might be, but he's not. He's not bound by what usually happens. But when the promise comes, let me tell you something. The opportunity of a lifetime must be seized within the lifetime of the opportunity. When the promise comes, you got to move. You got to move. You got to go. You got to move and you got to go. When it was time for me to become a life coach, I couldn't say, Lord, hold on, because I want to lose some weight. He's like, we can do that. We can do that while we're doing it. Come on. Come on. Lord, there's some things I want to work out in my heart. Come on, we'll fix that on the way. Sometimes God said, let's fix it on the way. He ain't going to let you go out here and damage nobody. But he'll say, come on, we can fix that on the way, because you're never going to be perfect. Hello? You're never going to be perfect. It's always going to be somebody that have a problem with you or what you say. You're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. Okay, so I want to talk real quick about discontentment. Discontentment is to be discontentment is to not be satisfied with what one has, but to always be wanting more or wanting something else, right? And so in Hebrews 13:5, it tells us, make sure that your character is free from the love of money, being content with what you have. For he himself, it says, I will never desert you, nor will I forsake you. Psalms 37:16 says, better is the little of the righteous than the abundance of many wicked. Philippians 4:11 says, not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstance I am in. My sixth point to you today is be content with what you have, and that implies managing it well. It's a lot of us that are not content with the amount of money we make, but if we go back and look at it, look how much you waste. It's a lot of us that are not content in our relationships, but look at what you join with. Let's go back to your interview process. When you were dating, did you mate? When you were dating, did you mate? Did you really get to know the person, or did you lay down with them? See, it's some kinks along the way. When you find out some things, start asking some questions, you're like, wait a minute, hold on. My point is, contentment is not a matter of whether you're working toward a goal or not. No, God wants us to always advance and be well and be great and represent him well. However, contentment is a matter of the heart. And the main ingredient of contentment is gratitude. That's why many of us can't find it. We can't find contentment because gratitude is at the center of it. Gratitude. When we're grateful, we have a posture to attract more from God. That's how you get more. By being thankful and being grateful and managing what you have well now, you get more from God. That's how you attract more. That's how you have the proper posture to be blessed on top of blessings, on top of blessings, on top of blessings. That's how, because you're grateful for what you do have. It's okay to want more sometimes, but why you want more? What you doing with what you got? Most of us can't make it past those questions. God blesses us according to what we need, not our greed. God blesses us and meets us at the point of our need, not at the point of our greed. And if we're honest, most of us don't really need more. We want more. We want more. God don't meet us at the point of our greed. He meets us at the point of our need. It's okay to want some things for yourself and for your children, want a better life for yourself. But you can't let that desire drive you to the point of greed or drive you away from God. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about discontentment. Some of us are not content. We're not happy with nothing. Somebody asks you what you want. I don't know, but I know I don't want that. Well, how you know you don't want that if you don't know what you want? How many of us were poor? I'm gonna prove my point. How many of us were poor but had some of the best times? But we missed really having great times because we were trying to rush the next thing. How many of us were poor, had some awesome, so much fun, but we really couldn't have as much fun as we could have because we were rushing the next phase. We were waiting to get some more money. We were waiting to have a husband. We were waiting, but so the whole time you wanted a husband, you never enjoyed single life. You never enjoyed just the less responsibility and being able to care for yourself. You didn't enjoy that because you was just rushing. I want a husband. You may not have had the money you wanted, but instead of you enjoying the least problems that money brings sometimes, instead of you enjoying that level, you were rushing. I can't wait till I make this money, and didn't realize that money came with more responsibility. Now you rushing something else. How many? We have to be very, very careful about I'll be happy when, because the truth is we won't be happy then. Happiness has nothing to do with your circumstances or your situation, because otherwise it'll be up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. No. Happiness is not about your situation. Happiness is about you, about your state of being. So we have to stop saying I'll be happy when and be happy now. We don't have to be happy with everything that's happening, but we have to be happy as a state of being with ourselves right now. I'm happy with where I am. I'm going to enjoy where I am on the way to where I'm going, is what I'm saying. So I said all of that to say we need to stop laughing at God when he tells us what he tells us. Let's enjoy the journey on the way to where we're going. Let's not be discontent, but be grateful with where we are now, with what we have now, even as we work toward more. I'm still grateful now. And then God will be pleased with us. So I thank you guys for listening. I am Zakiya Monique. I pray that this has blessed you. I'm a master life and relationship strategist. I'm a transformational speaker. I doubt if I even announced myself at the beginning of this, but I pray that you would share this with someone. And if you want to join my community, I will put the information in bit.ly/camp life. Put it in right now. I love you guys so very much. I pray that this has really moved you to think, if nothing else, to just think. Thank you, Cammie. I appreciate that. And so I love you guys so very much. I got to get out of these people hotel room and we got to move to the next spot that we're going to. But I love you guys. I want you to have a great day. And you already know how, on purpose. God bless you.